Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Bookmas and the Literature with Lydia podcast. My name is Lydia and I'm so excited to have you here today. In today's episode, I am going to be talking about my anticipated releases for 2026. So, to be 100% honest, I feel like there are not a ton of books that are on my radar for next year, but I did pull up a list from Goodreads, and they're the most frequently added to people's want to read shelf, and I'm just planning during this episode to kind of go through that list and share the ones that I'm most excited for. Now, this year, there were a lot that I was really looking forward to from some of my favorite authors. So, for instance, Emily Henry, she had Great Big Beautiful Life come out this year. Taylor Jenkins Reid had Atmosphere come out, and then Frederick Backman had My Friends come out. And the three of them are some of my favorite authors ever. The funny thing is that I actually haven't read Atmosphere or My Friends yet. It does feel like a crime that I haven't read them, and I haven't for any particular reason. I just haven't gotten to them. This year has been a lot slower of a reading year for me, and so I don't know, I haven't read them, but I can add those to my list of books that I plan on reading sooner than later during 2026. However, that's not what this episode is about. This episode is about the books coming out next year, and unfortunately none of those authors have books scheduled to come out next year. I'm surprised that Emily Henry hasn't announced anything yet. Typically, it's around this time, or actually even earlier, based on the last few years, that she does announce a book coming out in the next year. Again, nothing has been said yet, but she also is currently working on the release of the People We Meet on Vacation movie, which comes out at the start of January. So, I know she's a busy lady. But again, still kind of surprised by that. We'll see though. Maybe things will just be a different schedule than they have been in the past. Anyway, enough about the Queen, Emily Henry. Let's talk about the books that are coming out next year. The first one on the list that I see, if you see me looking over here, I'm looking at my laptop to see this list. The first one that interests me is Dear Debbie by Frida McFadden. Now, something about me, and I said this in the first Bookmas episode, I tend to not read the synopsis of a book before I read it, mostly because I just kind of listen to the people that are sharing about a book, either their description of it or even just the recommendation as is, and I kind of am like, okay, I trust it, I should read it. Or it's from an author that I've known and loved, and in this case, I've really enjoyed Frida McFadden's books. I would say that they're not groundbreaking, nothing has ever, I don't think any of her books I've given a 5-star to. However, they are so bingeable and so easy, especially for a palate cleanser. And I don't read a ton of thrillers, but her books are so good and so thrilling. And so I'm interested to see what this one is about. The cover has scissors and a flower. I don't know. I'm intrigued. Frida McFadden is that girl, so we'll see what that one's about. Another author that I love is Abby Jimenez. She came out with a book called Say You'll Remember Me at the start of this year. I haven't read that one yet. I feel like it's had very mixed reviews, and this book, The Night We Met, is the second book in that series. So we'll see if I actually end up getting to it next year. I would not read it until I've read the first one, so we'll see. But I love Abby Jimenez, and so I feel like at some point I will end up reading this book. Another author that I know and love is B.K. Borison. She wrote, what's the first one called? It's in her Heartstrings series. First Time Caller. That book came out at the start of this year, and at the start of next year, she has the book And Now Back to You coming out. All three of the books that are set to be in this trilogy are kind of not a parody, inspired by different Meg Ryan Nora Ephron rom-coms. The third one is meant to be about You've Got Mail, my favorite movie of all time. So I very much so look forward to that one. Similarly to the Abby Jimenez books, I have not yet read the first Heartstrings novel. However, I want to. I have it downloaded on my Kindle from my library and I just haven't read it yet. But I've heard incredible things about that one, and so I'm very excited to read that, and also the second one at some point next year. I feel like she has such a skill in like getting to your heartstrings, which is kind of fitting that that's the title of the series. Her romances are so, again, bingeable. And even though romance is not my favorite genre, I feel like she gets me every time. I really root for the characters. I love that, especially with her Lovelight Farms series, they're just lots of characters that you get to know in one book and then see again in future ones. Hi. We have a visitor. Come here. Hi, say hello. Oh, say hi. That's Cubby, the love of my life. Another book that I am interested in for 2026 is The Astral Library by Kate Quinn. I just read my first book by her just about a week or two ago called The Briar Club, which, like I mentioned in the first Bookmas episode, my friend Madeline from Mad's Library, she gifted me that book actually, and she has the best recommendations. 2 of my 5 stars this year are books that she gave to me. And so anyway, I know I love Kate Quinn from that book. I cannot wait to see what this one is about. The description is very short and it just says, from the author comes a gorgeously written fantastical adventure which poses the question, have you ever wished you could live inside a book? That sounds magical. And yes, I would love to live inside of a book. Okay, a book that I know I will read next year is, and I should have included it in my list of books or a list of authors that came out with a book this year. Carly Fortune. She has a book called Our Perfect Storm that comes out. I bet it's coming out in May. That's when hers traditionally have come out. I have not read One Golden Summer yet, but it's the only book of hers that I haven't read yet. I adore Carly Fortune. I feel like a lot of people, her books are hit or miss. I've loved all of her books that I've read so far, and I have no doubt that I'll feel the same about One Golden Summer once I get to it and Our Perfect Storm, because she truly has a gift. Her books are some of the most atmospheric books that I've ever read, and I have no doubt that this will be the same. I'm talking a lot about romances. I feel like romance authors come out with books the most frequently, at least from what I've seen in the last couple years that I've been reading again. So anyway, very excited for another Carly Fortune book to hit the shelves. Another book I am so excited for is by Meg Schaefer, and it's The Book Witch. Now, I've only read one Meg Schaefer book so far, and it was The Wishing Game, but that ended up in my top 5 books of all of last year. The description starts with, she can hop into any novel, she just can't stay there. Sold immediately. I don't even actually have words. That sounds magical and I can't wait. Another book I'm looking forward to is The Shippers by Catherine Center. I haven't read many of her recent works, but I've read a few of her older books, and I feel like they've been kind of hit or miss, but for the most part, hits. I love how quick-paced and entertaining her stories are. They're always so unique and follow plots that are different from other books that I've read. Again, even though I don't read a ton of romance, the reason is because I feel like they all tend to start to feel the same, but Catherine Center definitely has a gift with writing unique plots. And so this one is a wedding that takes place on like a cruise ship, I believe, and that sounds fascinating. Okay, the final book that I will mention for this episode is Just Friends by Haley Pham. Haley is a booktuber. She's probably one of the biggest ones, and I've really loved watching her videos over the last few years, and she has a book coming out next year. It's received some mixed reviews. However, I want to know for myself. Again, it's friends to lovers. That's my favorite trope. So it has some good promise, but it'll be interesting to see what I think on my own outside of other people's opinions. Those are the books that I'm looking forward to in 2026 that specifically come out next year. Please let me know if there are any books that are on your list that you're excited for that I did not mention, and I will catch you in tomorrow's episode. Bye!